Baroness Finlay of Llandaff.
I beg leave to ask the question standing in my name on the order paper.
My Lords, the administration is fully aware of the problem with mice in the Palace of Westminster and is taking all appropriate measures to minimise their numbers. We retain the services of an independent pest control consultant and a full-time pest controller. The current focus is on poisoning and trapping, blocking of mouse access points, and more frequent cleaning of bars and restaurants to remove food debris. This programme was intensified over the February recess, and fewer sightings of mice have been reported since then.
I thank the noble lord for his reply. Could I ask him how many calls there have been to the mouse helpline and whether the accuracy of that has been checked, given that the staff report seeing mice on a daily basis at the moment in the eating areas? And I would also like to ask his lordship whether there has been consideration to having hypoallergenic cats on the estate, given the history that Miss Wilson, when she was a resident superintendent in this palace, apparently had a cat who apparently caught up to 60 mice a night, and the corpses were then swept up in the morning. And I would also ask the noble lord finally, does he recognise the fire hazard that mice pose because they eat through insulating cables, and it would be a tragedy for this beautiful palace to burn down for lack of a cat?
Well, my Lords, there are a number of questions there. I can't give an answer to the number of calls the mouse helpline, if that is indeed what its title has received. I suspect it would not be a good use of resources actually to count them up. But I am well aware of the problem of mice. As I said in my original answer, it is something we take seriously. As to the question of getting a cat, I did answer a question from the noble Lord Elton last week on this matter, and I wasn't aware that such a thing as a hypoallergenic cat existed. I don't know whether our cat at home is one of those, but there are a number of reasons why it is not a good idea to have a cat. First of all, they would ingest mouse poisoning when eating poisoned mice, which wouldn't be very nice for them, and there would be nothing to keep them where they are needed, or to stop them walking around the house on desks, in offices and on tables in restaurants and bars, and maybe, my lords, even in the chamber itself. So we have ruled out at this stage anyway the possibility of acquiring a cat or cats.
I have spoken to the staff continuously in the eating places in the house, and I would acknowledge there has been some diminution in the number of mice around. But could I press him that further action does need to be taken? There are still mice there, and I know it's an old building, but these are all places where food is served. And I have got no magic solution, but perhaps the consultant who is being employed might have some answers.
Well, my lords, I am well aware that there are still mice around. I saw one in the Bishop's Bar only yesterday evening. I don't know whether it was the same one that I saw the day before or a different one. It's difficult to tell always the difference between the various mice one sees. But we do believe that the problem is getting better, and one of the measures we are taking, as I outlined in my original question, was to clean, and I think as I speak here this afternoon, the Bishop's Bar and the guest room are now being hoovered, so we can get rid of the food scraps from after lunch. If you were a mouse, my lords, you would rather eat the crumbs of a smoked salmon sandwich than you would the bait. Therefore, we want to remove the crumbs as quickly as possible.
Could I ask the chairman of committees why myself and noble lords should trust the executive to deal with mice when they can't deal with the economy?
My lords, I don't actually deal with the economy. I'm glad to say that would be above my pay grade, whereas I think trying to deal with the mice is probably just about right for me.
My lords, I was
was in total ignorance that there was anything of the nature of a mouse helpline until this question time. Can the chairman of committees tell us what other helplines there are for members of the House on other issues that we don't know about?
Well, I rather hope we don't have too many other ones, actually. I wasn't going to advertise the existence of the Mouse Helpline, although it was advertised some time ago. It indeed invited members of the House to telephone when they saw mice. But the trouble is, when the person at the other end of the helpline then goes to check this out, very often the mouse has gone elsewhere.